This is Marshawn Lynch. But on Prize Picks, being right can get you paid. So I'm here to make sure you don't miss any of the action this football season. With Prize Picks, it's good to be right. With millions of members and billions of dollars awarded in winnings, Prize Picks is the best place to put your takes to the test. The app is really simple to use and available in 40 plus states, including California, Texas, and Georgia. Just pick 2 or more players across any sport, pick more or less on their projections, and if you're right, you can cash in. With simple stats and fan-friendly policies, Prize Picks is the best place to make your picks. Most importantly, they don't play about your paper. All transactions on the apps are fast, safe, and secure.
Download the Prize Picks app today and use code SPOTIFY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code SPOTIFY to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Must be present in certain states. Visit prizepicks.com for restrictions and details.
Good morning, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. It is a Wednesday morning edition as summer is just making its last final heat wave before I think we're going to get most of fall. It's been a really mild summer here in the South, and I hope y'all have enjoyed it. As fall kicks in with our 1-2 Atlanta Falcons here in Atlanta, and I know there's still some angry folks coming in, and there's been some changes since we last talked on Monday. They've shaken some things up in Flowery Branch, and we'll get into some of those changes and what you think, what I think, what we all think they might mean. And then here comes our old friend Dan Quinn. If you're watching the show, you know who Dan Quinn is. Former Atlanta Falcons head coach, took the team to the 2016 Super Bowl, and then the team kind of just petered out, ran its course, and he's doing really well. He did really well in Dallas, and he's doing really well so far with the Washington Commanders. Nothing like Dan Quinn coming in to heap a little more misery on the team or for the Falcons to have a chance to turn things around, hit 2-2. They looked at times last year like they were ready to fall flat on their faces and then turn things around last year. So we will see. But we do go live every Monday and Wednesday on this show, mornings. And then we go on Tuesday and Thursday evenings at 6 o'clock with Garrett. And one of the reasons we go live is because we like having the conversation with y'all. So I want to say hello to some folks that have come in nice and early, like Carrie. Carrie was first in. She's ready to go this morning. And Carrie, you're one of the reasons I post this on X. I didn't always do that. X is just crap at moving traffic, trying to say, hey, come over here and watch this or read this. They're just terrible. So I don't always do that, but you're one of the reasons. I know you're over there. So I want to make sure that you see it and know we're good to go. So Carrie, good morning. Must-win game on Sunday. Have to do a 180. Not sure if you saw the PFF video I posted, but our offense can't get much more predictable. Really hope we see changes fast. I did see it, and let me see one of the things that came up from that video. They're not under center very often, but when they are, they've only had passed it once, which means there's no play action at all. That's a great place to do play action is under center, but you don't necessarily have to do play. I think the Falcons have the lowest play action rate in the NFL. And when you've got a strong running game, what's one of your biggest weapons? Play action pass. Suck them in, go over the top. We're not throwing deep either. I think the Falcons have only completed one pass beyond 15 air yards so far this season. And that was the kind of prevent gimme that they had on right before the half on a little slant route. I think that's it. It's the only pass they've completed in air yards. Now, the first pass of the season went for 50 yards because it was a screen pass to Bijan. So, that's one of the things. 93% pass rate out of the shotgun formation and 70% run rate out of the pistol formation. So, if I'm in the shotgun, that means with no running backs or a running back beside me, I'm throwing the ball 90% of the time. If the running back is behind me in the pistol formation, I'm running the ball 70% of the time. Talking about tipping your pitches, Jesus. And the thing that makes me, it's so unbelievably irritating about this, after week 1, and I couldn't find it, I swear I wrote it up last year. So I went back and I watched, and maybe it didn't really come out until Tuesday. So I'll go back and I'll find it, and I'll post a video from the Steelers game last year. When we talked about, I used the phrase bizarre, because being that predictable is bizarre. It doesn't happen at this level. It was worse after the Steelers game. It was like 90, only one play. If it was shotgun, every single play was a pass. If it was pistol, all but one was a run. I mean, it was nuts. Like, who is self-scouting? Nobody is that predictable except a wishbone. Oh, if they're going to run the ball. Nobody's that predictable. Nobody. Well, Zach Robinson has been. Well, they fixed it in week 2. It's obvious. It's obvious. You cannot tip your pitches like that. The whole idea is to keep teams off balance. Can't do it. Dantes, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. That was a year ago. It's regressed. Hope you are doing well. Great to see you this morning. Appreciate you coming in and commenting on the YouTube videos and everything. And Austin says, morning, fellas. And I don't know if Nick's going to be here or not. He's in the middle of a move. If he's here, great. If he's not, we understand. Had to take a break from football the last few days to clear my head. I've done that with social media, with Instagram. Just the last 2 weeks of stuff that's been going on. I took a break too. Clear my head. Still early in the season, but man, that was one of the worst games I've seen in a long time. I agree. I was trying to think, what were the worst games we saw? And I was like, remember going up to Cincinnati and getting the doors, the Falcons got their doors blown off by the Bengals. Even then, they ran the ball and fought. Oh, the defense was terrible. But, there's a lot to think about. Like, oh man, which game was the worst? There's so many to choose from. Arthur Smith's first one against the Eagles was bad. The last year against the Steelers, the one I just referenced, Kirk Cousins' debut after not playing anybody in the preseason and then going out, would they score 9 points? Was that a 13-9 game? 9 would have been better than 0, though. And frankly, the Steelers are better than the Panthers. But this one, from a total meltdown, 2/3 were an F. I'd give the defense a B in that game, considering the positions they were put in. They went down and scored. It was 10-0 at halftime, and then a pick six at 17-0. And after that, the offense just kept going for it on fourth down. And that's when the score can get ugly, when it's not the defense's fault. That was as bad a game as I can remember seeing, y'all. I'm with you on that one. Let me see. Atlanta boy 88. Good to see you. If we lose on Sunday, do we let Morris or Zach Robinson go, or will they fire the water girl and hope to solve the basic offensive play call? So Atlanta boy 88 is referencing after the week. On Monday they announced a couple changes. Right after we went off the show, they did announce a couple changes. They fired Ike Hilliard, the wide receiver coach, legendary NFL player, Florida Gator, and the Atlanta Falcons wide receivers have not been good so far this year. They haven't caught a touchdown pass, haven't caught a ball past 15 yards. But part of that has been they've been banged up, and part of it has been the complete uncomfortable lookingness. I know that I'd have to rewrite that, but this is a podcast. How uncomfortable Michael Penix has looked trying to even throw the ball downfield. Now, we can rag on Zach Robinson all we want for play calling, but we have seen some open receivers that have been missed, have we not? So, there's a lot of dirty hands in this. Zach Robinson calling a very predictable game plan. Very predictable game. Yes. Is Michael Penix playing poorly? Also, yes. Are those two connected? Also, yes. So, yes, there are a lot of things. And I was listening. It came down, and I know this sounds strange, but I don't really like listening to sports talk radio because I want to shout at people that I typically know more than. I know that's arrogant. I'm sorry. But I want to shout at them. But one of the questions I heard on the way to my daughter's softball game last night was like, was this a total team meltdown? Was this a total team breakdown? Or, was it just this and this? Well, if the answer is yes, and I consider the answer to be yes, pretty much for a total team breakdown, well, what's that tell you? Whose fault is that then? Two guys. I mean, it's Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot, right? For putting this team together. And really, one guy's fault, Arthur Blank. The buck stops at the ownership. It's really, if it's a total team failure, ultimately, whose fault is it? The guy that put the team together, which is, from the top down, it's Arthur Blank. People always want to use Rich McKay as a boogeyman. Rich McKay's not doing anything with the day-to-day operations of the team, of what you see on the field. Let's just stop with the Rich McKay boogeyman. If you want to blame Arthur Blank, I'm here for it. He's the one. Terry Fontenot answers to Arthur Blank. Raheem Morris answers to Arthur Blank. We can go there, and I'll agree with you. But the boogeyman of Rich McKay is a nice one because you like to think that he can still be removed from the Atlanta Falcons organization and everything would be good again. No, it's not going to do it. Want to say hello to a couple of my super chat superstars like Austin Freeze. Says, I'm glad Robinson is on the sideline. I hope the communication improves. Well, it can't really get any worse. Let me double check. Looks like I've taken the mute off again this time. It really can't get any worse as far as the communication goes. And frankly, some of the coaching, how does it go? If your quarterback's coach is also, they said they didn't have a quarterback's coach in the past. They did. Zach Robinson was a quarterback's coach. TJ Yates has been a quarterback coach. They've had a quarterback's coach. Also being there to discuss things in person, side to side, face to face, sitting on the bench, looking at the same things, pointing at the same things on those tablets. It's important. And frankly, the communication can't get worse. The one, and to his credit, and like I said, I'm not going to hold Raheem Morris's feet to the fire for the Sunday press conference for some of the things that he may have said. Going live and doing this, we don't always say exactly what we want to. And that's why at the end of every show, I always say, hey, hit the comments. If you disagree, if I screwed up, give me a chance to clarify, elaborate. Let's have the discussion, because I don't always say exactly what I want to say when we're doing this live either. So I get it. And, he came out and said, I'm sorry I even brought up the comms thing, because that's not an excuse. Comms have been going out for 20 years. We need to know how to work around that, and we didn't. The one I flat out don't understand is getting the delay of game penalties after the timeouts. I just don't understand that at all. Like I said, if I saw a high school team do that, I would be critical of the coaching and the players for their execution. You call the play on the sidelines, you line up, you run it. And if you get a different look, well, you call two plays. I mean, it's not rocket science. I don't understand that one for sure. So frankly, Austin, and thanks again for the super chat, my friend, the sideline communications can't get any worse. It's Pop Warner level of not being able to get guys lined up out of a timeout in a home game. No, that was an away game. Apologies. In an away game. Apologies. Still, again, out of the timeout. No excuse. None at all. Denver Luke, good to see you. He says, good morning, Scott Nick. There's a good morning. Here's a shout out to Nick wherever he might be. And again, moving sucks. I've been in my place now this is my 10th year. This is the longest I've ever been in one place. And it still looks like I just moved in some of the rooms. So I hope he is doing well this morning. But thank you for the support coming in from Denver Luke. You've got a new neighbor in Nick. And I hope things are going well for him today. And he's got the coffee emoji. We'll drink to that. And let's see. And Carrie comes in again. She's a little pissed off at some of the optics. The still shot of Raheem Morris reacting to one of his former players and giving him a big old hug. She says, I'm losing faith in Roz, our head coach. You get blown out and shut out by a bad 0-2 Carolina team and laugh and dap up their players right after. Shake the head coach's hand, rush to the locker room after that. Embarrassment. Yeah, it's when you're winning, things you can get away with more. When you're not, every little thing's going to get picked out. I heard that about love once. If you love the person eating away from you, they can stick their elbows in their spaghetti and eat with their hands. If you don't, that person chewing with their mouth open is going to make you want to be violent. And after a game like that, read the room, I think is what we're trying to say here. Read the room, know that there are cameras everywhere. And frankly, you'd like to say, what would you expect this week if it was in Washington and there's him and Dan Quinn? I mean, they're tight too. I would expect a big old hello, but I would almost be like a sympathetic handshake if Washington embarrasses the Falcons this weekend, where Dan Quinn would be like, yeah, I know it's tough. Good luck. God bless. Hope you're doing well. Bad optics. Read the room on that one for sure. Let's see here. Terry says they're saying Ike's substitution rotations were part of the reason why the offensive operations have been dragged out. I didn't see that. I think that's probably, no one's actually going to quote that. So Terry, TC, BS. No, they're not. They hardly even sub the wide receivers. There are hardly any wide receiver subs. So no, guess we'll see for ourselves. Again, it really can't get any worse as far as the communications go. Michael Ronquillo, great to see you. T. Terry, you as well. Good morning, Mr. Scott and Nick. And let's see. Xavier Whitaker says, Scott, did you see Dan Orlovsky breakdown on NFL Live that we got embarrassed? I didn't need to. I wrote that one up last year. Orlovsky blasted the Falcons. And let you in on a little secret. When you are in the business of prognosticating and someone makes you look really bad, you kind of take it out on them. When you rank teams, which I've done, which, and they go out and make you look bad, Orlovsky's been one of the Falcons' biggest fans. And he's going to learn. The Falcons will let you down. They will let you down. I've said it, and y'all know it. How do you trash talk an Atlanta Falcons fan? You really don't. Who's going to hurt you worse than what the Falcons do to you week in and week out, year in and year out? I didn't see, but I went back, Xavier, and I went back and read what Orlovsky said last year after the Steelers game, because I was trying to find those exact stats from running out of the pistol and passing out of the shotgun, and it was higher after that first game, but getting back to a 93 to 70% on both of those, it's just insane. But you don't have to. I didn't see what Dan said, but I don't really have to. We know what he said. We know what he really said. Yeah, and Psalm says, what a drop from last year with the vanilla play calling. Jeff says, who cares? And typically people that come into content and comment and like and are here and spend the time to interact, they typically care. So Justin says, what's your opinion on the pistol? It can be useful, but as Keith then follows up, I don't want them to run pistol all the time. I don't want them to run out of the pistol all the time. Now, the one time that I've said I don't want to see the pistol is in an inches situation. You're 7 yards behind the line of scrimmage on 4th and inches, 3rd and inches. I don't like that really any more than I like seeing them run wide. You get under center. The quickest way in this case is, a straight line. The Eagles have figured that out. The fullback dive, get behind your center, root in there and dig out. So it's I don't necessarily mind the pistol at times. It's just a variation of the shotgun. No big deal, but you can't run the ball 70% of the time out of one formation. You need to have more balance. You cannot be an unbalanced team and be successful. And when you're doing it yourself, whether it's Michael Penix checking out of plays, which we know isn't happening because he doesn't have time. You don't have time to check out of plays when he's coming up to the line of scrimmage with 5 seconds on the clock. Kerry asked a good question. Says, what's your theory on why we are not using play action? I just don't know that the play caller is experienced enough and has it in his locker at the time. I still feel like the offensive coordinator is doing him no favors. Last year, the excuse was Kirk Cousins isn't mobile enough, which is BS. I can run a shotgun. All I have to do for a play action is fake the ball to the side or fake it to the other side. I don't have to necessarily run a bootleg to run play action. So right now, the lack of play action is 100% on Zach Robinson. 100%. And I really don't understand it myself here. And let me see here some of these things that we come down. Talking about, there's being some plays. There's video evidence of Kyle Pitts being open for TDs in each game so far. Yeah, that's going to happen. I mean, we can pick things apart, but there are plays. That interception, I showed it on Monday also. I won't go through the whole thing again. But the interception was Michael Penix not trusting his eyes. They had the back corner who's dropping into a deep third. They had him in jail. He was in deep doo-doo. And they bailed him out. I mean, sorry for all the prison references. Let's see. I want to move down here just a little bit as we get down here. Troy Green is a superstar, and it does give lots of superstar. But that's a reminder, y'all. Let me in the description, and I'm going to drop this in here actually real quick. I did our first members only video about Ike Hilliard getting fired on Monday. I will start doing more of those. I'd like to do one pretty much every day. But if you're on YouTube, or if you want to be on YouTube over from Facebook, it means a lot if you could join and be a member. It helps us out a lot. And as a thank you, I'm going to drop this link in the chat in order to sign up as a thank you for the first month. At the end of this first month, I'm going to raffle off. I'm going to put everybody's name in a digital hat and raffle off this 24-ounce bag of coffee. And if you don't want the bag of coffee, we'll figure something else out if you win. But it's also a thank you from Lion Coffee. But that's a $33 value, and we've got a couple of tiers. Really helps us out. So if you could sign out, that'd be awesome. We certainly appreciate it. We also appreciate it when guys like Jeremy come in with Super Chat. So thank you, Jeremy. Jeremy says, this will show us what Raheem is as a coach, staring down 1-5 barrel. Should prepare the offense in the preseason. Yeah, I don't understand guys are going to get hurt, and the idea is the less you play them, the less they're going to get hurt. I'm not sure that's even true. They get hurt in practice. They get hurt in games. Are they less likely to get hurt if they played some in the preseason? Are they more likely to get hurt? It's football. I don't think you're going to be as good a team if you don't play. And the one that really killed me on this, Jeremy, and I've said this before, was last year, was Michael Penix not playing in the last preseason. Why isn't Kirk Cousins playing some in the preseason? Let's get his value up. Show everybody he's healthy. Michael Penix didn't play. You draft a developmental quarterback, and then you don't want to develop him. We can talk about the parallels between the Green Bay Packers and the Atlanta Falcons 100 different ways and why I think it's nonsense. But what they did in the preseason for 4 years was play Jordan Love. Jordan Love played a lot of preseason football before he took over as starter. So it will show you what is made. And unfortunately, whenever we ask that question of the Falcons, we don't always like the answer that we get. The last time I answered that question, I asked that question or made that statement was after the stop. The Falcons got the ball back in the third quarter against Carolina Panthers, down 10-0. I posted it in the group chat with all the folks that write for the Falcons. I said, well, we're about to find out what this team is made of. The next play was a pick six. Like, Jesus Christ, man. Sorry for the blasphemy. For those of you that bothers, I don't typically do that. Apologies, but yeah. It's tough. Caleb G, thank you for the super chat, my friend. It's great to see y'all in here today. Thank you so much for the support. Want to, the thing is, y'all, there is a game coming up. I know that this sounds crazy. I don't know about you, but even as a content creator, I haven't looked that closely at Washington for a couple of reasons. One, because the Falcons' house is in such disarray that it doesn't matter who they're playing. If they don't fix the internal problems, they're going to get beat. So who they're playing is almost secondary this week, but it is a big deal with Dan Quinn coming in. Jaden Daniels didn't play last week, and Marcus Mariota goes and has a terrific game for the Washington Commanders. I think after 1 week, if you go to PFF rankings, he's like 5th. You know, the other one that got me on this, I was looking through, I was like, let's see who's playing really well according to PFF for the Washington Commanders. Okay, a couple of offensive linemen on there, Chris Paul, Laramie Tunsil, they've got some high grades on there. Marcus Mariota had an 87 last week. That was one of the highest in the league. Okay, we know on a long enough timeline, Mariota is capable of playing well. That makes him like a really nice backup quarterback. But he'd go from NFC Player of the Week 1 week to 2 interceptions and a fumble the week after. But I scrolled down a little bit to look at some of the defensive players. You know whose name is number 2 on their list for the highest graded player? Backup with 70 snaps, backup defensive tackle Eddie Goldman. Backup defensive tackle Eddie Goldman. As soon as I saw that, it just popped out like Dave Chappelle doing Little John. I said, what? Eddie Goldman is out there killing it as a reserve? He played well last year for the Falcons as well as he was going to. And I don't blame any of the veterans last year for wanting to move on from Atlanta. And it was mutual. They didn't bring him back. You know, that's the writing's on the wall when you've got a bunch of young defensive linemen that you bring in. But seeing Eddie Goldman coming back too with Marcus Mariota, and frankly, y'all, I want to see Marcus Mariota just for the Schadenfreude factor. You know, how much can we actually suffer if this goes bad? If it goes bad, don't you want it to be just as bad as it possibly can be? Yes, you want to win, turn it around and win. But if it goes bad, I don't know, call it the masochist in me. I want it to go really bad. I want Dan Quinn to come in here with Marcus Mariota. I would rather lose by 40 than see like a 21-14 loss. I don't know. I know that like I said, I'm cynical, but if it goes bad, it's going to need to go real bad to ensure change. Turn around. There's ample opportunity for this to turn around. But one, I either want to beat Mariota. I want to see Mariota. And I'd love for him to get sacked 10 times. That's what I want to see happen. But I want to see Mariota. And JJ is, yes, he picked up, I alluded to this. This movie is getting so old. When we were talking about Raheem Morris reading the room and the optics on there, the best quote of all time is from Crash Davis talking to Nuke LaLoosh in Bull Durham. And he says, you have fungus on your shower shoes. You win 20 in the show, the press will say you're colorful. Until then, just means you're a slob. Winning cures a lot. And that's absolutely right, JJ. It's obscure enough now. I mean, hell, that movie's what, 40 years old? What was that, 87, 88, somewhere in that neighborhood? A must watch. You watch Bull Durham, The Natural. Why are the baseball movies so good? Is it because the action is so slow? There's more time for storytelling. Bull Durham, The Natural. I like A League of Their Own, frankly. Which one? Major League, and then The Sandlot, and you've got baseball covered. You just caught up on 50 years of baseball. Anthony, good to see you. Says the Ike Hilliard firing is interesting, and I think there's, they want to say performance-based, of course. They're not going to say, but there had to have been a blow-up. There just had to have been. I mean, you look at all that stuff and say it's the wide receivers. Do you look at the Falcons offense and say, oh, it's the wide receivers on there? I've seen open wide receivers not get the ball. Are they playing great? No. They dropped a couple passes here and there. Yeah. But there's a personality thing going on in there to get fired after week 3. There's something else that was going on. Chris is talking about, he says, I wasn't thrilled with the hire to begin with. I know he's talking about Raheem Morris. He reminds me too much of Quinn in Atlanta. Too much on motivation and not nearly enough on fundamentals and X's and O's. And And it's not even the motivation for me. You can motivate guys in a different way. Getting the guys to play hard for you is important. It's too much buddy, as far as what isn't working right now. You want the guys to play hard for you, but is there accountability in there? And what's interesting, and I put it in the title of the video I posted on Monday, was Raheem Morris saying, I love the accountability. I love the accountability of Michael Penix. I love the accountability of the guys around him who didn't play well. We've got to play better around Michael Penix. So he's doing his best to rebuild the confidence of Michael Penix Jr. Where is all the accountability? We'll see. We will see on here. And Carrie says, someone told me they aren't using play action because they don't want Penix to turn his back because of his right tackle. Has our O-line been that bad this season? One, Eli Wilkinson has been played admirable this season. Two, I can put Charlie Warner over there. Three, play action actually will slow the rush if you've established the run. And four, why do I have to turn my back? I'm not yelling at you, Carrie. You should be yelling at this person that told you this. Why do I have to turn my back to run play action? I don't even have to look. When I'm doing a read option as a quarterback, my eyes, I'm reading the end. My eyes are on the end. I'm not even looking back at the running back. I take a snap. I hand it off to the side. If that end crashes down, I'm looking at him just like I'm looking at you right now. I pull it and I run around him. So whoever told you this, Carrie, start looking at them with a little side eye next time they tell you anything that has to do with about football, because that's ridiculous. That's ridiculous. Now, under center, maybe, but they're not under center. They've only taken like one snap under center. Out of the shotgun, the read option is totally with your head up as the quarterback. So this is nonsense. And I know it wasn't you, Carrie. I want you to tell whoever said that that's nonsense, especially when they're running out of a shotgun formation with a pistol. Tell them to watch, speaking of football movies, go watch Denzel Washington explain the option to Ronnie Bass. Read the tackle, make the pitch. You can do it. Now you can throw it a mile, but you can't pitch at 3 feet. Yeah. Getting fired up again today. Quentin, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. And Caleb, who came in with a super, I want to make sure I get this one. Says, good morning, Scott. Do you think Penix might be hurt on Sunday? There was a play I saw him grab the back of his leg after scrambling. I haven't noticed that, Caleb. We saw it immediately with AJ Terrell, and my immediate thought was 4 to 6 weeks when he did that. Skill player grabbing, coming up lame like that. I'm like, okay, 4 to 6 weeks is pretty standard. Hopefully you get lucky. And it will be a full 28 days between games if he doesn't play this week, bye week, and back. With Michael Penix, they're not sending him out there hurt. They're just not. They're not so against the idea of Kirk Cousins playing that he's hurt out there. There's just no way. I mean, this is your quarterback. And again, I've said it before, y'all. I'm so wrong on the Falcons so often because they do things so illogically. Every Sunday morning, I post ESPN's prediction, and then I use it basically as a title to get people in to see what ESPN says, and then I'll write in my own prediction at the end. And at the end, I said the Falcons need to follow the same formula that they did in Minnesota. Strong running game, strong special teams, good defense, and they'll win. And I think I picked the game 27-13, and they'll win this game. They threw out the running game. Their special teams were garbage, and the defense was okay. And they got embarrassed. Michael Penix, it would make no sense to put him out there if he's anything but 100% physically healthy. So I don't think that one. Maurice says, if they don't want the coffee, send it to me. Maurice, be a member. I'm inviting you. Join up. Come be a member. Would love to have you, and I'll put you in the hat, and I might even make sure to send you a little something extra anyway. Win or lose. Let's see here to Maurice. We got a couple Maurices in here. No, it's got to be the same person, Maurice. Appreciate you being over here on YouTube. It's like, wait, we know Maurice. Michael, Good to see you. Michael hasn't been here in a while. Island Michael Lewitzki. He says, morning, Scott. Finally made it live. Glad you are here. Harry Marshall Wood says, can we send Zach back to the Rams for some more development? I think the Rams have something else of the Falcons that you might be interested in 2026, if I'm not mistaken. Now, it's one of those things that go live. You ever ask yourself, it's like, yeah, that's right, isn't it? And then you start doubting yourself. Like, that's who has the Falcons' first-round pick next year, isn't it? Is the Rams? So they won't be on there. Let's see. JB says, last game was 60% Penix and 40% Robinson. No amount of preseason would have helped that. JB seems to be firmly in the don't play the preseason camp. And I don't know that there's a right answer. I'll tell you what I think. I'm not telling you I'm right. But my personal opinion is that getting reps and practicing again in real live game situations makes you a better player. That's my personal philosophy. Now, you have to weigh that against the risk of injury in a sport where guys are getting hurt all the time. And yes, we need to see more play action. What good is having a dominating running game if when I'm going to run and I'm not going to pass out of it? I mean, could be setting things up. I mean, just think. It's a long season, right? There's 14 games left. Oh, man, they set up the play action for some huge plays now. They know we're not going to play action. You throw another football movie in there. What was the one with was it Scott Bakula? The Necessary Roughness. They know they're not going to throw it to me because I can't catch. Well, he's wide open again. We're talking all kinds of movies on here today. I posted a stat on Monday after the show on X, and actually I posted it on Facebook too. That was you could take it one of two ways. Now, most Falcons fans, knowing that the team's history took it being negative, you could take it as a positive. The stat that I posted was because we've seen this defense play well. We've seen this defense limit the most anybody's gained. I think the Buccaneers went for 260 yards, which is about 100 less than they had a game last year. Held the Vikings under 200 yards and held, I think the Panthers only had like 223 or 233 yards of total offense. So we know they're number 2 in the league in defense in total yards. The Falcons offense has moved the ball to the 30-yard line and then not come away with points way too often, or even gotten into the red zone. I'm like, I bet you they've got a huge differential in yardage as far as the offense versus defense. So I looked it up, ran everybody in there, did a plus minus, and then sorted it. And the Falcons were, what were they, third? It was, and this was before the Monday night game, so it might have changed. But the Falcons were third in difference at plus 334 yards. The other teams that were in the top 5, the Colts were number 1 at 439. They've only punted once so far this year. The Buffalo Bills, 398 yards. The LA Rams, plus 286. And the San Francisco 49ers at plus 286. So they were tied. Falcons are plus 334. The other record of those 4 teams, 6, 8, 11, is 11-1. They're 11-1, and the only loss in there was the Rams to the unbeaten Eagles. So, yes, lies, damn lies, and statistics. But this shows the defense, 1, is playing well. 2, the kicking game has been garbage. 3, they're bogging down in the red zone, or not even quite even getting to the red zone. They're bogging down in plus territory way too often, and it's hurting the team in big ways. But the positive takeaways here is the defense is playing really well. They can move the ball. Now they need to start getting more efficient when things get tighter. But it's just, to me, it's one of those shake your head type of stats. You're like, of course. Everybody else is 11-1 and the Falcons are 1-2 in that same stat. Why is it always the Atlanta Falcons, for God's sakes? Smitty, it is good to see you. Morning, Scott. This team's energy and mental space is off big time. It's off. Big game coming, but there are way bigger problems. Smitty, we'll find out. We're going to find out. They held on to Dan Quinn a season too long. You can tell when a team has packed it in. And I don't know that this team has. It's awfully early for it. You can see it's like, okay, that's a dead man walking. Not yet. This can turn around at 2-2. We're feeling this is a whole different conversation. I mean, it's just 7 days. And we're feeling good about things. From last week, the conversation here about 2-1, and a banged up Washington coming. You're 3-1. All right, beat this banged up Washington team. Who Terry McLaurin is right now. He's questionable. Man, McLaurin has killed the Falcons. Killed them. So win this game against Dan Quinn at home, go into the break, reset, and we're coming out of this thing again with renewed. I'm not ready to pack it in on this team. I mean, we see some big warning flags for sure. And just, I feel like, Smitty, if it goes bad, we won't have to see it again next year. I said at the beginning of the season, they'll clean house. If they don't, the line for me was 8 wins. 8 and 9, I'm not sure what will happen, but I would lean towards cleaning house. 9 and 8, I think Raheem Morris and Terry Fontenot are safe. 7 and 10, Arthur Blank's cleaning house. This was a team that was supposed to be a quarterback away from making a run at the playoffs, and then they have done some really big, some really controversial moves. And if they don't pay off with a winning season, they'll clean house. We won't have to watch this again. And then there's at least renewed hope of going through new general manager, new coach, see how Michael Penix looks through the rest of the year. But there are bigger problems right now, but they're fixable. They're fixable problems. Let's not be so effing predictable on offense. That's fixable. Let's not pass 90% out of a formation you're in 50% of the time. That's fixable. Those aren't hard things to fix. What's hard to fix? Right tackle. The right tackle's been playing well. You lose 2 right tackles, you lose 2 offensive tackles in the preseason. The right tackle's been playing well. That's hard to fix. What's hard to fix is the pass rush. Pass rush is playing well. What's hard to fix? The defense. Defense has been playing well. What should be easy to fix? The kicker. Kick returns. Kick coverage. Not being so dang predictable on offense and play calling. Getting a play in with more than 10 seconds left on the play clock. Those are easy. And those are the ones that are hampering this team. That's what's so frustrating. We all see it. We all see the potential in this team. And we all see it's the death by 1,000 cuts for the stuff that should be easy to do out there compared to the hard stuff. It's a hard game. Get the easy stuff right. I don't care if you can Ozzie Smith backflip, banana ball a catch and throw it to first if you can't catch a ground ball. Lots of metaphors today. Lots of crossovers today. We're having fun. Smitty, it's great to see you on there. JB, yes, the offense absolutely laid an egg. I put an egg in our what do you call this? The graphic I use for the show, and I use that phrase a couple of times. We don't know if Daniels is playing right now. He's day to day. I expect Daniels to play. I think he will end up playing. I'm going to scroll down towards the bottom because I'm still up at 8:55 in the comments. So I want to see some of the new folks that have come in. And Ski says, Zach Robinson makes every single game a hard game.
Anyone can follow. It takes something special to be an original, which is why the 2025 Lincoln Navigator SUV arrives with new ways of surrounding you in luxury, including the ultra-wide 48-inch panoramic display and the multi-sensory Lincoln Rejuvenate experience. A true original never stops evolving. So meet the 2025 Navigator, the original that's all new and better than ever. Learn more at Lincoln.com. Lincoln and Navigator are trademarks of Ford or its affiliates.
Man, they're playing, and I've used this term way too many times for my liking. They're playing scared on offense. Last year they played scared on defense. Now they're playing scared on offense. Like they're afraid to make a mistake. And if you play not to lose, if you play not to make mistakes, guess what happens? When Michael Penix is at his best, he is playing loose and free. He's not checking it down. You didn't draft him to check down. You drafted him to push the envelope, push the ball downfield. And as I've said before, the comments will come in, well, they haven't had Darnell Mooney. And if this whole offense falls apart because you don't have Darnell Mooney when you've got a number 4 pick in Kyle Pitts, you've got a number 8 pick in Drake London, you got a number 8 pick. Am I missing those? Was it 3 straight number 8 picks? Yeah. A number 8 pick in your quarterback, a number 8 pick in your running back, first-round picks all across the line, the best blocking tight end in football, and your offense falls apart because Darnell Mooney's not out there, then somebody's fired. Say somebody's fired. Well, it was wide receivers coach. Obviously, he was fired. And Javi coming in saying, yeah, you watched what happened. The Falcons took advantage of J.J. McCarthy out there, who has played 7 quarters of bad football and 1 quarter of good football in his young career, which take advantage of beating a young quarterback. But if they had started Carson Wentz, his team would have been 0-3 playing not to lose. Yeah, it's frustrating. Alberto Molina, good to see you. He says, Scott, it all sounds good to be positive. Listen, positivity in sports is not my thing. I'm just trying to be balanced here. I am trying to be balanced. I will recognize my own biases. I am a cynic, and I recognize that. So, but I do, like I did say, I haven't given up on this team completely. One win changes everything. It really does. It changes everything. If they go out and look like they did, on Sunday, this week against Commanders, if they go out and look like they did against the Panthers, we'll have a different conversation on Monday. We will. And then I'll probably say 1-3. Let's see how they respond out of the bye. Last year, they got worse. Their worst football of the year was Broncos into the bye. And you want to, and it's fun. Things are so binary. You want to put all that on, well, Kirk Cousins lied. He ruined the season. Well, it's so nice to have a boogeyman, because if you just change that one thing, everything is better. Well, if we just remove Kirk Cousins, everything is better. If you just remove, it's all Rich McKay's fault. It's all Rich McKay. Get rid of him and things are all better. There's more than that, because it's been going on for most of our lives with this team, for sure. But we'll have a different conversation if things don't improve on Monday. But right now, remember how everybody was feeling at 6-3 and how fast that turned around? 6-3. That was the week. And whoever follows me on X, I know, Carrie, you'll remember this. I posted, y'all remember that week? I think the Jets had 9 sacks on like Monday Night Football, and the Falcons had 9 sacks all year. That's an indicator that something's not right, and it had nothing to do with the Jets, but it got like 1 million views or something. And most Falcons are coming in and says, yeah, but the Jets stink. The Jets stink. The Jets stink. I'm like, yeah, the Jets do stink. Does that mean sacks are bad? So there are indicators that things were wrong before they went bad. But that's how bad they can go, how quickly the things can turn. And you go from a 2.5 game lead in week 11 to out of the playoffs. It can turn around quickly in this league. Unless nobody beats the damn Buccaneers. Buccaneers are 3-0. Speaking of, Javi, speaking of 0-3, they're 3 plays away from being 0-3 on that. So, Shrey, good to see you, Shrey. The most annoying thing is the Panthers are going to go back to being awful this week against New England. God, they will. The Panthers aren't a good team, and they're not. But I tell you what, I put them ahead of the Falcons on the NFL power rankings that we did on SI. I mean, they're 8 spots behind. ESPN does theirs, I think, on Sunday night or something. They are 8 spots behind the Falcons, even though they're now ahead of them in the NFC South standings and just hung 30 on them. That doesn't seem right to me. the Falcons, if I'm looking at the power rankings, the Falcons look like, if not the worst team in football on Sunday, the second worst, and your records are the same. Didn't quite get that one. Troy, it's good to see you. We haven't seen you for a while. Hope you're going to be out at the meet and greet. I will not be there. Got to see you last year for Mile High Huddle. I will not be there this year, so I'm glad you're coming in to say hello. Says, as a Broncos fan on Broncos for breakfast, missing Scott, always harder to see when your team does not play well. For what it's worth, not worried about ATL. They're much better overall. No, there's concern. There's concern here, and it's legitimate concern. Last year, there's too much talent on this offense. 31st in scoring. 31st in scoring. We talked about them being the number 6 in total yards last year, number 13 in points. Try and get those closer together. Well, they're 13th in yards so far, and they're 31st in points. Missing field goals, and I think they've got this, if not the fewest, the second fewest trips into the red zone overall, because as windows get tighter, their execution has gotten worse. So there are legitimate concerns that the 6.5 wins on the over-under for this team could be right. The Falcons fans legitimately have concerns here. Appreciate you, Troy. Hope you are doing well. David says, Ra and Zach have lost the benefit of the doubt. They need to win their jobs back. The pink slips are filled out. They're just being held for end of season. David, I would agree. You're leaning that way, that they have to. You get the benefit of the doubt. For most new coaches, you get 3 years. And when they took over this team, I said at the beginning, I said they'll probably get 2 years. The first one, unless you lose the team and there's something strange happens beyond just a losing season, you'll get a second year. But this team, they were built to win. Arthur Blank has spent a ton of money. It hasn't always been spent wisely, but for the most part, I think except for that iceberg, the Titanic ride was fine. Except for the Kirk Cousins thing, most of the money that they've spent has been good money. The early draft, or Terry Fontenot's early drafts, have not filled out depth, and frankly, trading 2 draft picks to get 1 player almost every time, that ends up eating into your ability to have cheap contributors so I can spend money in other places. But overall, this team is in a much better place than when Terry Fontenot took over. Without a doubt in my mind, they're better from a salary caps perspective, and the talent level is a lot better. I have no doubts there than what was an aging team that was trying to hang on to its last bit of 2005 to 2016, 17 glory. That was the end of basically an era, but now there's been time to rebuild that. And it doesn't look better. I agree with you on this. They have lost the benefit of the doubt. That's a great way to put it, David. They need to win their jobs back. It's a great way to put it, because right now they're out the door. So they absolutely have to win it back. They do. Can they? Yeah, they'll get that opportunity starting on Sunday. It's a different conversation. They go out and beat a good Washington team. It's a different conversation. This is a crossroads for Raheem Morris and the Atlanta Falcons. It absolutely is. Mike, good to see you. He says, I'm late. Well, we're glad you made it. Who's starting for Washington at quarterback? Nothing's official yet, Mike. They feel good about the way Marcus Mariota played, that if Jaden Daniels is not 100%, they feel okay with Mariota going back out there. And frankly, not even for competitive reasons, but for the storyline of Mariota coming back into the building that he just fled. I'm a fan of players. I'll give the players a benefit of the doubt 99 times out of 100. What he did was chicken scratch. Again, we talk about masking injuries. Players do that 100%. They mask injuries all the time. That's nothing new. Anybody blaming Kirk Cousins for killing the season, for hiding an injury, doesn't pay enough attention to sports. They all do it. Then he left. How did Kirk Cousins handle getting benched? Like a professional. How did Marcus Mariota handle it? Oh, by the way, I'm hurt. My wife's having a baby, so I'm gonna go have the baby with her. And by the way, I'm not coming back. Oh, that was a poor character moment. And he's a decent dude, nothing against him, but that was handled poorly. And I'd like to see him back there at quarterback with Jalen Walker and Leonard Floyd and James Pierce and Rook and Onyemata and all those guys, and Caden Ellis, Diablo, Bowman coming off the edge. I'd like to see Mariota. And if Mariota goes there and dices up the Atlanta Falcons under Dan Quinn, it's a spike in the coffin. It's not a nail. It's a spike in the coffin. So that's what I want to see. I'm here for it. I want that for the storyline. August, he's feeling good about things because Penix will benefit from Robinson being on the field. I don't see how it can hurt. You still need a spotter up there as far as, what are you seeing? You need somebody, and there'll still be coaches up in the booths. As a play caller, I need to know what's the safety doing in this situation? What's a corner? And I need a spotter out there so I can help. But I think it will absolutely help. It can't hurt. Again, it cannot get worse as far as that goes. If we don't make the playoffs, Cody says, if we don't make the playoffs, who's getting fired? Raheem Morris and Zach Robinson. That's where it starts. Terry Fontenot. And then they make hires, and you see who sticks around. You do. You see who sticks around. Speaking of stick around, I am going to get going on this Wednesday. Want to say thank you to our Super Chat superstars. David coming in early. Austin kicking us off. Jeremy, thank you so much. Caleb, excellent contributions to the show. Troy, it is good to see you. It's been a while. David, and finally Mike Harvey. Again, I'd like to invite you all to become members. It means a lot. Helps keep the lights on, helps keep this forehead nice and shiny. And I like I said, I am doing members only for community, members only videos that we will be doing that will be just for us, just for the members. Some fun things I do, spur of the moment type of things. The live streams will always be free for all. On that note, y'all, I'm going to get out of here. I'm looking forward to Monday. I'm looking forward to a nice weekend, and I'm looking forward to Monday because Monday is going to be an easy show. This past Monday was an easy show. Plenty to talk about. They handed it to us on a silver platter. Monday is going to be an easy show. Either we're talking about this team has gotten it turned around and is capable of still making a playoff run, or burn the ships. So it should be an easy show, and I'm looking forward to it. I hope you are too. We will see you on Monday. Don't forget to check in and see Garrett on Thursday night. Otherwise, y'all have a great rest of your week. Excellent football weekend. We'll see you next time.